Well, Dana, congratulations on the film.
Thank you. Hi.
So, what is this about the script that you wanted to be involved as a producer?
Well, I wrote it, so definitely wanted to be involved so I could control it and make sure that it turns out like I imagine.
I see, I see.
And then I was so controlling that they made me a producer. So
And so I read the synopsis. I haven't screened it yet. Looking forward to screening it. It seems like it tackles xenophobia and Islamophobia that's happening in our society right now.
yeah.
How sensitive is the? How do you tackle that in the film?
Well, the main character says we should not be afraid to love. So we work on bridging the gap between the two different sides, people who believe this, people who believe that, and seeing each other as not separate from one another, being able to find commonalities and just find the love, even though they're different.
Talk to me about the two lead stars. They're from France.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, talk about the process of casting them.
Well, Mark worked with one of the lead actresses, Hafsia Herzi, on his previous film, War Story, and she's awesome. She's really good. And then he was friends with Sarah Kazemy, who is also very good, and they're both French, and they're wonderful actresses.
And she fit what you envisioned when you wrote the script. She's like, oh, that's exactly.
They're
right.
exactly who we had in mind. We actually wrote it for Hafsia,
Okay.
and then after a while, it became apparent that Sarah would be the perfect person to cast in the other role.
Congratulations on the film, This Teacher. So you're one of the stars of the film. What is it about this project that drew you, like attracted you to it?
It was like a very quick process. I met Marco through a friend, and I just quick put on something on tape. I didn't see the script. I didn't read it. And I just sort of I got a gist of the character and just did like a little impromptu, moment to moment thing going on with the tape rolling. And I sent him to that, and then I looked up who he was, and like he did a couple of good movies that I was pretty impressed with. So he seemed like a real competent, tasteful director. So it's a no-brainer.
Can we ask what your character is, or is that a spoiler question? What do you play?
No, I play this wealthy. I'm not too sure what he did. You have to refer back to my notes, but I haven't seen the film yet.
That's fine.
But I couldn't even tell you accurately. So maybe it's just I'm gonna find out when you do. So
We'll find out.
they'll remind me. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
That's
now.
what I played. You look beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I haven't screened it yet. Looking forward to screening it. But I read the synopsis. It tackles some sensitive issue that can resonate or reflect what we're dealing with in our society today. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's very accurate.
So how do you guys tackle that in the film? What can we expect?
Well, Mark is a very, very talented director and storyteller. So I think he tells that story in such a poetic way. He talks about the issues that we're dealing with nowadays throughout the character of Hafsia and her journey through the remote cabin and discovering herself and finding and being projected to that society that we live in a very interesting way.
All right, that's good. Looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to.
So for my fans, a bit about your role, your character. What do you play?
I am the best friend that lives in New York that will welcome her, and she will understand from meeting me that I am not the image of what she would like to pursue as a person.
Oh, you're a little bit of baddie, huh?
I am a little bit. I am.
I like that rebel in you.
Yes.
How fun was that playing that?
Oh, it was wonderful. I was looking to work with Mark for a long time. He's again a very talented director, and I've been wanting to work with him for so long that no matter what character, if I played the devil, or it was actually very fun.
Yeah. Now, you and your other co-star are
Yes.
both from France. Is that correct?
We're both from France, and we're actually both from. I mean, she's from Marseille originally. I'm from Paris, but we're both actually from a hood in Paris. So yeah, it's mixing the reality and the fiction together.
It's a small world.
Yes, it is.
By the way, congratulations on winning the World Cup. I'm jealous.
Thank you. Thank you. 20 years later, we did it.
How fun was the celebration there? Were you there?
I was here.
Oh, you were
I
here,
was
okay.
here. I was really missing. I wish I was in Paris, but I felt very proud.
Gigi, congratulations on this feature.
Thank you so much.
All right, so what is it about this project that made you want to be involved with it?
I had been recommended to this project by a director friend of mine who I trust implicitly, and he told me about a colleague of his that was putting together a film, and that was Mark Jackson. And I took a look at some of his work, and I was blown away by his film Without, and I was really excited at the opportunity to collaborate with him on whatever he was doing next. So that whatever was this teacher. But when I read the script, it also was a very, I think, important and moving piece about today's America. So it was very exciting for me to be a part of something relevant and I think important.
Was it? Oh, sorry, something got my eye. I'll edit that part out.
Okay.
It's the fall season. Was it in the script, or was it part of the producing job to cast the two French ladies, leading ladies?
The Hafsia actually made another movie with Mark previously, and I think Mark also knew Sarah. And when he finds actors I think that he likes and enjoys working with, he goes out of his way to kind of foster that and build something. And I think Hafsia inspired very much this script for him, and he's told me he's written it for her. So they were kind of always a part of the picture and in mind when he was writing the script and making the project.
Now, how challenging being an independent film like this to shoot in New York City?
I think New York City is a very film-friendly city. I've shot most of my films in New York, and I find them to be very supportive, and they'll go out of their way to help you make it happen, much more so than I think other cities, actually. So New York City is a great city to shoot in.
Because it seems like every film now goes to Louisiana to shoot.
Right, and that's tax incentives, and that works. And there's one for New York too, but they're all really long roads, and depends on how big of a movie you are. And we're a pretty small one, so if you're a really big movie, then the tax incentives really help. If you're really small, it's a lot of work for, So.
Well, on that note, exactly. Could you talk a bit about maybe advice that you have for filmmakers out there now that having experience producing this film? Maybe like, oh, when you do your project, do this or don't do that. You know, like, can you share some advice?
Yeah, I would just say work on things you really believe in. It takes sweat, blood, and tears to make a movie happen, good or bad, and the end result. So you want to really believe in what you're doing and the stories you're telling. So I would say before, as you choose your projects, as you learn your craft, make a point to join on projects or filmmakers that you admire or that are saying something interesting, so that when there are the rough days, that can get you through.
Last question before I let you go, about the themes of this film, because I haven't screened it yet, looking forward to it. The synopsis, I read it. So is it trying to say something about the state or the condition of America right now, the xenophobia that's going on?
I think it certainly does say something about America, and I would say watch the movie and make your own assessment of what that means to you. But I think Mark was very much holding up a mirror to some truths that exist, especially in today's America, as it reports to racism or prejudice or these kind of things that are very much at the forefront. And I know that the Charlottesville rally was something very intense for Mark. It was for all of us. And I think seeing and having to confront those kind of things makes you feel like you have to continue as filmmakers or artists to address that. And this film definitely does, in its own way, in a very kind of personal journey.
But you have hope that we can overcome that.
Of course, yeah,
as
all
a
of it.
people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like for us, and that's why we make films too. It's sort of to just highlight nuances and help kind of guide people into what we subtly believe. But as you'll see in this film, love is love, people are people, and there are no boundaries. So you'll see that, I think, in her journey and what she explores as well in the film.
We're celebrating independent cinema here. Talk a bit about the challenges of independently making this film for you as a producer.
We had to beg, borrow, I don't want to say steal, but ask a lot of favors. And it was a very tightly knit crew and cast. We all pretty much lived together. We ate together. We did everything together. at times, it tested our patience, but ultimately I think that you'll see, the result in the final film, and that it feels really authentic, like it's very lived in. It doesn't feel like it was a glossy sort of sanitized story or production. It feels very much like it came organically from the environment that we were in, because while we were there, we felt like we were outside of our own lives and in a different world.
No, I haven't screened it yet. Looking forward to screening it. I read the synopsis. Does it tackle xenophobia and Islamophobia, anything like that, that kind of reflects our society today, unfortunately?
It absolutely does, but Mark is the kind of filmmaker that doesn't like to hit audience members over the head with political statements.
Okay.
So what's nice about this movie is that it's really a story about a young woman who's a fish out of water coming to a foreign country, not really knowing where she wants to go next in life, as she hits 25. And it just happens to also cover topics like xenophobia and other, issues that we're dealing with in America and in other parts of the world, like throughout Europe, to be perfectly honest. So I think it'll open up a lot of people's eyes and hopefully allow them to see a different perspective without force feeding them into a different way of looking at things, even if it's not their way of looking at it.
So, what's your advice to aspiring independent filmmakers out there? Because budget's always a big thing, and sometimes, like you said, you gotta really plow through, however painful the experience will be. What's your advice?
My advice is just go make the movie. It's never been easier to make a movie than it is now, with cameras and with crew availability, and everything just looks so professional. It used to be when you had to shoot on film, you literally needed hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars just because of the processing. But these days, you can make your film on your iPhone. So I say just make the movie. Take whatever budget you would like to get, whatever cast you'd like to get, and then cut that by 80% and go make the movie with what you have. And chances are you'll probably make a really good movie. Or at the very least, you'll cut your teeth on a first film, get through all those mistakes, learn from them, and then on your second or your third film, you'll make a great film.